Good morning, Predicted Trades family. Hope everybody's doing well. We had a pretty interesting day yesterday. Opened and started day long up to our key levels here. You can see I've got key levels at 4108, 4101. We fought up to that quickly yesterday and then rejected trend line from the highs of this year. That's what that pink line is. That's where we entered some shorts, wrote it down to this 4056 level. Yesterday in prep, I said I want to see this 4056 and this daily 200 hold up if we have a dip. And we did a great job holding there. That's where we locked up our shorts, initiated some longs that worked out well, but then we just settled into chop. So kept the trading kind of light going into the afternoon. Today, the premise is pretty much the same. We're set to open a little lower than yesterday, and a small gap down at the moment. But we do have a large economic data point that'll be coming out at 8:30 with NFP. Let me pull up our economic calendar real quick. So, we have some today at 8:30 we have some unemployment data, some jobs data, and then NFP, non-farm payroll, is the big one. This could cause an interesting reaction, whether up or down. We'll have to see how they react to the numbers. And then looking into next week, it's actually pretty light as far as economic data. Just a little bit of PMI Monday, a little bit of trade deficit Tuesday, some productivity, labor costs, consumer credit, jobless claims, and then University of Michigan consumer sentiment index and 5-year inflation. So kind of light next week, not a ton going on, so it could lend to some decent moves. And we definitely want to be watching some of next week's strikes today. As every Friday, our Beast tools are loaded up with next week's strikes on Fridays, so definitely keep an eye out for that. Talking about the reaction to NFP, there's a couple of things that could happen. We could see a strong pop and be opening near the top of this range, maybe even above it. We could also see an interesting drop. The most important level right now, to me right now, is 4020. You know, if we see a reaction to NFP that brings us down to 4056, we could see a bounce there. Basically, we've got 3 zones that are targets if the reaction to NFP is down. First zone being the same as yesterday, 4056, 4050. Next zone, 4040, 4034 for that daily 8. And first Keltner up sits. And the last zone that's very important to me is this 4020, 4017. Any negative reaction but bounces at those levels are still bullish to me in this setup. And if we look over here at our at this chart I like to cover, all the time, it's the 45 EMA from multiple time frames. I like to teach that the 45 EMA is a true change of trend. If we look back to last week, we were above the 45 EMAs going into Friday, and then we started to slip into them. And then on Monday we gapped down to and through them, and Monday, Tuesday we were contained below them, even Wednesday until Powell spoke, right? So change of trend, we start rejecting MAs, and we pop through. So we went from bullish to bearish and now back bullish. So just trying to add some confluence to the importance of that 40-20 level. Just saying there could be a scenario where there's a negative reaction to NFP, we start to drop hard pre-market, and we open near one of these levels. I'm still leaning long off of those. Once we start breaking 40-20, that spells a different scenario for me where we go back to the mean and maybe through it. So 40-20 very key today and moving forward. It just has to do with simple price action. Let's see, I think I have a chart here that might be a higher time frame. Just trying to save some load time, but don't start freezing on me. Never mind. It's not the right chart. We'll let that load up. But point being, 40-20 was our resistance for quite some time, and we did peak above it a little bit last week, but then got back below it. Now we're back above it. So for a while, 40-20 was the ceiling. Now it needs to become the floor that supports the higher move. It is the start of a new month. We did get our reversion to the mean, the daily 21. Arrived there Wednesday right before Powell spoke. So we have okay, this is loaded. I'd have to go back further. Just point being, we have a lot of bullish a lot of bullish things going on the chart for price action, for moving averages. We fought up above our daily moving averages. We pulled back to them. We fought off of them again, pulled back to them, and now we're heading higher. And as you can see back here, we got up to 40-40 a couple of times, but each time we dropped straight to 40-20 and then back down. So that's why that's so important right now. Just going off of price action. This range right here has to be our support for any move higher. A break of this range, and we're just going to head back to moving averages and maybe lower. The daily 50 slowly creeping up, but still way down. Near, I believe, this is probably that gap from CPI, right? I could be wrong. I don't feel like going back to look. Either way, our range is very much like yesterday. We have this 4101, 4108 to the above that was resistance. At the top of some of these squeezes, we have this 4056 that was support right at the bottom of our squeezes. Should we give out, these are the key levels I want to see hold. Should we get through, we're about to get that data in 5 minutes. It might just pop us up to the highs or through them. Should we start to get through to the upside, my big key levels next are 4136.5, 4156.65, and then 4183, 90, and 4200, right? That is getting up near third Keltner because we are near second Keltner. In fact, that's one of the things we also rejected yesterday. I love when things line up and give tons of confluence when they're stacked together. We had a trend line from high of year, we had a key level, we had a daily Keltner, 3 things to reject, plus our squeeze top. More than enough to let me take some shorts just in case. And it works out, So let's see how this reaction goes in a few minutes, but that's our range, and those are our targets to hold and break through. We'll start to go through a couple of other names. We'll come back to ES as we start to see the reaction. Oh, don't start freezing on me. On NQ, made it to that 12,100 key level, peaked a little bit above, but then once it starts breaking back below, that's your cue to short down to this 11,950, where that daily Keltner was. If you remember from prep yesterday, I talked about that. Really, in prep yesterday, I tried to stress, pre-market lows and pre-market highs are very important. We set lows, we were trending towards highs. We pop up and test the highs, we reject, we go down to test the lows, we slip a little bit to tag something like that daily Keltner. Then we get right back above those pre-market lows, and we just chop in between that range. So really, a range is always set by your pre-market highs and lows, and we want to pay attention and react as we should when we get near those. We had a very strong pop in the morning, but I said we're getting near pre-market highs. We should be ready for a rollover just in case we don't break through. Really, with pre-market highs like that, we need to break through, come back and hold them to really make a move higher. So the same holds true today. We have our pre-market highs and lows that we want to watch. If I zoom in here a little bit, our handy dandy trend tool here will kind of help show the levels. But it looks like it's about 1216 up to 1262. And again, that's the trend tool that I shared, or, that I've shared in our group, in our Discord long ago. But I mentioned it yesterday during our free Thursday. So definitely load that trend tool. It does a great job of making these trend lines, these high and low support levels to keep an eye on. But either way, range is set. We'll see what we get in a minute. On NQ today, did a great job holding that 950. So I want to see that hold. If we start to break that down, definitely want to see 11,800 hold. This daily 15. Also have the daily 8 here. Much like on ES, we want to see 40-20 hold. This 800, very important. Starting to get that reaction, starting to get a dip to our first spot to hold. This is the next spot to hold. And here we come. So, it's definitely why I started prep a little later and been dragging out the review just to talk about, get ready for them to release data so we can react. Last spot to hold for NQ, the daily 21, the 677. But at that point, yeah, I'm going to change this over. Yeah, that's the last line in the sand. 677 has to hold today, or we're starting to roll back over to 11,500, that daily 50 down at 11,400. So arriving at that daily 15, daily 8, starting to catch that bounce. Again, as long as we can hold, not bad spots to go long, back up. They love to use NFP just for a reason to do something like this, get everybody giddy short, and then bounce it. So it's a lot like CPI that we had, like a month ago, back in October or something like that, where they dropped it hard pre-market right to key things. They opened and took it up all day past where they were, and like 2 ATR up. So just saying, we could have one of those days. We should always be ready for a scenario like that. Opening down here now puts a lot of calls right back at Beast. Let's pop back over to ES. I think we're pretty much done with NQ. Take another quick look at ES to see where it's right at 40-20. So, pretty clear we're going to be opening maybe near this 4020. We'll see if we catch a bounce at all before open. You know, there could be a scenario for tapping 4,000, getting back above 420 and a recovery, but the longer we live below 4020, like I've been saying, very important level to hold right now. During the cash session, the longer we live below that, right, if we do dip to 4,000, come back to 420, and then roll over, definitely the sign to short back to engulf right back to where we were in the daily 21. Man, of course, so typical. Rip it up like it's time to go. Hit big resistance that we've hit all year, right back down. So, going to be an interesting day. Definitely still want to see if we can pop up and hold. The long scenario I've explained, so we need to be ready just in case they do hold it. This is just a fake bear trap kind of thing, and we head higher. Anything is possible. This is also something that could be indicative of consolidation under this trend line from highs of year, right? I mean, we've got to the point that we need to break out of. This could also just be leading into consolidation, meaning we could see a pop back today, but then we still settle in this range between our MAs and that trend line. Consolidating and getting tighter, into next week. Let's see, on to the ready. You can see all of these squeezes starting to fire to the downside off that candle. So the ready, dropping a little harder than the others. It's arriving back at the daily 21 and back at the highs from Tuesday. Basically wanting to see it hold there. If we start to lose that, then we're slipping back down to this 1820 likely, and then at 1800 near that first Keltner to the downside. But if we can hold the mean, get back above 1860, then it's looking good to get back into this range. Obvious target is at 1900, just like 4100 on ES. YM. Dropping a little harder as well, getting back to the daily 21 already. But, YM has been leading to the upside for quite some time, so not surprised to see that it's bleh. Of course, wasn't paying attention to the fact that the chart hadn't updated. YM. Back to this 34,000. So obviously this daily 15, daily 8, going to be the range that we're going to be opening in and going to be very key. Need to hold that 33,950 and get back above this 34,100 for any chance of recovering back into this range and trying to get back to highs. If we start to lose this zone, then we're going to be coming back to test the bottom of this range near 33,600, the psych level of 33,500, and our daily 21 splits the two. So zone right there as the target if we truly do start to give out. Fall under that 950 and reject it on any retests. On to Apple. Apple falling right back to our key zone. Basically need to hold this zone today at 144.5, 145. If Apple can hold there and start to get back over 146 in that daily 50, looking good for the recovery back to the daily 21 and our levels above. We start to lose this zone, this 144.5, and reject it on any test to get back through it. Then it's likely rolling over back to 142, 140, and our key zone below near 138. Come on, computer, don't start acting slow. AMD. AMD, basically looking for it to hold this daily 15 at 74. If we start to lose that back to 72, 71.5 where the daily 21 sits. If we can hold 74, get back through 75.25, then it looks good to recover back to 77, 78. If we lose the daily 21, then the first Keltner down is near 68, but that might be, outside of an ATR move. Amazon. On Amazon. Nice bounce off of that first Keltner, the downside, right near 93, getting back up near 94. Yeah, okay, 93 lining up with those recent lows where we bounced. Was also resistance from Wednesday. So if we start to lose 93, then we're heading back to 91, recent lows, and psych level of 90. But if we can hold 93 today and start to push off 94, then looks good for a recovery back to 95, 96, and maybe even that 97. BA. So on BA, obviously looks a little different back below Wednesday. I talked about this in prep yesterday, how, we saw a lot of names rip back up to highs on names like BA and CAT. They have been leading for a while. So it wasn't surprising to see them drop on Wednesday, then just recover. Yesterday they were weak and came right back down. Talked about that in prep. That, these names might be ready for a break. They didn't even get a reversion to the mean. So today on BA, all about trying to hold 173 at the bottom of this 4-hour squeeze. If we start to lose that 173 and this trend line near 172.5, then we are likely coming down back to 170, 169, where that daily 21 is catching up to. But if we can hold 173, looking forward to get back to 175, 177, and maybe even back to the highs and the top of this 4-hour squeeze. It's definitely why we go through a lot of these names, just to see, something like BA with that 4-hour squeeze bottom, that could be something that holds it up today, even though we've had this reaction pre-market. On CAT, we have this stacked squeezes holding us in a range, right? We've got 1 hour, 2 hour, 4 hour, and the start of a daily forming. And so the 1 hour down to the 4 hour are all stacked together. So on CAT today, looking for 230 to hold. If that gives out, going back to 228 where the daily 21's caught up to. But if we can hold these squeeze bottoms, and this 4 hour in particular, around 230, then it can bounce back up to the middle of the squeeze range near these daily moving averages, the 15 and the 8. And if it can push through those, then back to the top of the range and top of the squeeze. Google. Well, Google dipping back near 98. It's all about, basically holding 98 at the worst, this pre-market low, and getting back above 98.78. We can hold at any of these levels and fight back above and turn it into support again. Then the rally back to 100, 101 looks good. And the longer we live below that 98.78 and 98, then looking more likely to come back to the daily 21 and daily 50, which are stacked at about 96.70. And should that give out, we've got our 96.95 zone that just held us going into, that Wednesday when Powell spoke. GS. So GS, another name that has been leading, was riding its third Keltner up, and now we have come back to take the break. Basically all about holding up 378 and 377 today at the bottom of these squeezes. Can have a reversal there that just brings us back into the range, which would help the upside. If we start to lose the bottom of those squeezes, then it's a full reversion to the mean, back to 372, and that psych level of 370. And where's the daily 50? Probably still way below. Yeah, anyway. Whoa. Let's see if on these names that have been leading, GS, BA, CAT, if they can hold their 4-hour squeeze bottoms. That would at least lend to the market holding and not diving back down to the mean. On to Meta. Oh, Meta made it back to 117, yesterday's pre-market low. All about holding yesterday's pre-market low and today's. So 116.5, 117. If we start to give that out, then back to 115, 113.5, where the daily 8 sits. But if we can hold up, looking to get back above 118, and then that lends to getting back to the daily 50 at 120, maybe even back to these highs. Overall upside target was 123. Microsoft. Yep, all about Microsoft holding pretty much this 147.5. That's right near the highs from last week. Daily 8, that 248 pre-market low. So need to hold there and start to get back above 250. That'll lend to recovering back into this range and maybe setting up for higher. But if we start to lose that 247, 248, then it's looking more likely to come back to 245, where that daily 15 sits, and back to our key levels at 241 and the daily 21. Netflix. Basically all about holding that 307. That's where we fought up to. That's what we're pulling back to. So, all about holding that 307. We start to lose that, coming back to 300, and the daily moving average is down to 296, 293. But if we can hold that 307 and get back above 310, then it starts to set up the recovery to 315. 320, and the overall goal was for Netflix to get back to 333, which finishes filling the old gap down. So let's see on a Friday if they want to get spicy. Nvidia. Nice, ES bouncing back above 4020. So as we continue into prep and seeing that we are finding support right where we should, basically I am looking for a long off of 4020. Obviously, could we slip it pre-market or slip it during the cash session? Yes, we want to watch that pre-market low. But getting back above 420 and starting to 4020 and starting to push off of it, we can see our next MAs sit right around 4040, which I believe was where that daily 8 sat. So there's a scenario for coming off of that 4020 up to this 4040, some rejection, consolidation to get through. We could also get up to that 4040, roll back to 4020, and roll over. So a couple of key scenarios that could play out as we now find ourselves pinned between 4,000, opening near that 4020, and 4040, where a number of MAs are stacked up. North of 4040, we can recover back up, and south of 4,000, we can get back to the daily mean. Let's see, Nvidia. Yeah, pretty much all about holding up that daily 8. This 163, 164. As long as we can hold up there, if we have a dip and get back above 165, looking good to try to get recovered back to 170, 172. If we start to give out that 163, then it's likely to come back to 160, and maybe even this 156 for the daily 21 sketching up to. QQQ. Let's see where VIX is set to open. Oh man, VIX still holding around that 20.5. So that is very interesting, guys. I mean, on a big drop like this, we should be seeing VIX getting up. We'll see it in a second when I pull up the full chart. VIX should be higher. It's not confirming it right now for me. QQQ, back to the daily 15, daily 8. So looking for those two to hold. And overall, last line in the sand, 285. But if we can hold here, keep track here, daily 15 near 286 and a half-ish, daily 8, around 287 and a half. As long as we can hold there and get back above 290, then we can get back into this range and back to 295. We start to lose that 286, 285, coming back to the mean at 283 and 280, where we took off from. Come on. SPX. Gapping down about 60. So there's the gap that we filled, and we're going to be opening right near it. So on SPX, basically looking for this gap, which has the daily 8 and a Keltner at the bottom around 412, we'll call it. As long as we can hold there and get back above 4030, looking good to get back to 4050 where the daily 200 sits, and then trying to fight back up to 4100, or at least the zone from yesterday. If we start to lose that 4012, likely coming back to 4000, 3990 where that daily 15 sits, and should that give out the daily 21 at 3950. SPY. Oh, come on. Internet is being slow today. Yeah, VIX should be higher on this drop. I mean, I guess VIX did get down near 20 at the end of the day. Come on, there we go. So SPY made it down and tapped 400. Now opening back near this 402.75. If we can get back above this, turn it into support, we're going to get through 404 on our journey back to our range that we were in. Obvious target back to that 410, but if we start to reject this 402.74 and lose 402, then we're likely coming back to test this pre-market low and get near 400, this daily 8 near 401. Still, if we hold there, looking to get back up, but if we start to lose, and then coming back to the 398, and the daily 21 getting closer to 395. But yeah, I'm liking this bounce on SPY. It's kind of confirming that what we're seeing over on ES. So yeah, talked about it before this drop. 40-20 very key. If we can hold, we could have one of those recover, Friday grinds up. Let's go to Tesla, cover these last couple, and wrap this up. Yeah, see UVXY not even up that much. Very interesting. Tesla right back to this 190. Need to hold there. Kind of where we fought up to Wednesday. Started to reject, then push for more. So if we can hold up this 190, looking for, and we can hold up 190 and get back above 193 where the daily 21 sits. Then it looks good to try to fight back to this 196, 198, 200. If we start to lose 190, then it's back to these daily moving averages at 185 and a quarter, 187. Yep, on to UVXY. So, on UVXY and VIX, we are not really seeing the same kind of confirmation of drop. We're seeing that over on ES and everything. Come on. You know, we fell out of yesterday's range, we lost yesterday's lows, and dropped a lot. So you should then think UVXY would be above yesterday's highs and pushing up near 8. But the fact that we've just gone from our squeeze bottom to top, and now we're starting to hold, and we're still below yesterday's highs. Excuse me. We're still below yesterday's highs. That's a good sign for the chance of a recovery. So for upside today and for holding 4020 on ES, I want to see UVXY stay below yesterday's highs and below the squeeze top. As long as we can stay below that and start to roll back over to 7.5, we'll start to see that pop in the market. If we can lose 7.5 and push down through yesterday's lows and the bottom of this squeeze, we could see maybe that full recovery. But if we're going to see further downside, we'll likely see UVXY hold above 7.5, start to take out yesterday's highs near 775, and try to complete that journey up to the daily 8 at 7.9 and that psych level of $8. You know, maybe even back to these highs right before we pushed up and UVX fell down. On to VIX. And Thado, I just saw your question in the YouTube chat and gave you an answer. You know, we have an entire system that plots on your options and your equity charts. I'll cover it here at the end, just to give you a little bit of a preview. So, VIX got down near 20, and we're seeing this drop on the market, dropping us out of the range of yesterday. VIX is still below yesterday's lows, or I mean, yeah, below yesterday's highs, around 21. So for upside in the market today, definitely want to see VIX stay below 21. At the very worst, stay below this 21.3. But if we can stay below 21 and start to roll over and take out 20 and a half, we'll start to see a nice pop in the market. And if we can give out 20 and a half, looking to get back to 20, take out yesterday's lows and head lower, if we can get a full recovery back to where we were. But if we're going to continue this pre-market drop, then VIX will likely get through 21, turn it into support, get through this daily 8, and try to make its way back to 22, 22 and a half. And so let's see, I'll pull up a SPY chart, I guess, and load in our Beast tool, our predicted trade system. It'll just take a second. But I definitely recommend checking out we have a playlist on our YouTube channel called Recaps. If you watch those recaps, you'll get a very good feeling for what our system looks like on your charts, how we use it in our trades. But the main heart of our system is that it plots on your options charts critical levels that some are designated buy levels, some are designated sell levels. So we watch calls and puts on whatever vehicle whatever underlying that we're trading. So like today on SPY, I'll be watching calls and puts, and when calls enter our buy zones, I'll be taking shots. If puts enter our buy zones, I'll be taking shots based on what I'm seeing unfold. So like I've covered on each name, need to hold key things. If we start to roll over, we have targets, and then on our options charts with our tool, we will also have areas to buy and sell where price action will react to. Oh, come on now. Come on. Load the chart. There we go. Now load the tool. And let me change this. There we go. So like if we look at yesterday, so as you can see, we have an open range buy zone and an open range sell zone. Yesterday, SPY set highs in our sell zone, rejected back. The white line in the middle is where we open on the cash session. So yesterday we had a dip to our open range buy zone. That's where we loaded long. Got up to our sell zone. That's where we lock profit and start to load shorts. And then we drop through our buy zone, our midline, down to our destination buy zone. That's where SPY bounced, held the middle, and then started to get back out of that buy zone. So basically every day our tool provides a roadmap on your equity, but then also on your options charts we have something very similar where there will be designated buy levels and designated sell levels that you'll see the option prices react to. So definitely come check us out. Every Thursday is a free day where you can test out these tools on your options charts. They won't work on your equity charts, but when you sign up with our service, it will look just like this on your charts as well. So overall, that's it for prep today. Let's see if we can continue to try to hold, push off of 4020, get above 4040, or if we take out 4,000 and head back down. Good luck today, everybody, and we'll see you in the chat. And everybody, definitely have a great weekend.